First of all, it's my pleasure. I'm Bill Rouse, and it's my pleasure to introduce Matt and Cindy. They're on their new Amel 50. Hasn't left the dock yet in La Rochelle. As a matter of fact, Matt and Cindy arrived on their boat Speed of Life the same day I think that France shut down, right? Am I correct?
Pretty close, Matt? Yeah.
Pretty close.
We got here maybe 3 days ahead.
Yeah. So they really haven't had a chance to leave, and they're sitting there and in not so bad of a place to be, I think. There's probably a lot of things that you can get done. And I understand that Amel has started back up. Is that correct?
They were only down for about a week, maybe a week and a half on and off. And they kept people working. Some people didn't want to work. They wanted to stay home. They let them do that. And the ones that wanted to work came in and kept building boats. And the crew that hangs out on the dock, they have a full-time crew on the dock prepping boats. They were here. They were gone maybe a week. That's about it.
Yeah.
Today's the first.
So,
and Cindy says,
go ahead.
And Cindy says today is the first day that boats have been allowed to go out. So it was very crowded with boats leaving and entering the marina today.
Wow. Well, as soon as I get through here with just a little introduction and just have a little news, then I'm going to turn it over to Matt and Cindy, who are going to present their Amel 50. The only other thing that I wanted to say is that we do have a Zoom meeting scheduled for June the 6th. It's going to be the same time. Now, I know this time is not convenient for everybody, but it is a time that we can have people from New Zealand and people from Germany and all of the rest of the world to view. So on June the 6th, we're going to have a presentation we're going to have a presentation about sail making, sail cloth, sail construction, and so forth from Q Sails, Izmir, Turkey. So they'll be on, and it'll be basically the same structure, about 15 minutes of presentation on the subject, and then about 15 minutes of questions and answers. We'll probably wind up staying a little overtime like we did last time. You know, nobody's got a stopwatch. We're going to kind of go with the flow. So it's my pleasure to introduce Matt and Cindy on Speed of Life. Speed of Life. Go ahead, Matt.
Okay, well, I think Tilo is going to show us some video we recorded earlier when there was light in the middle of the day here. And I could do that. It has no sound to it, but we figured the people here would appreciate a look at the La Rochelle Amel dock. So it starts out there and then has a little walk around on the exterior boat. So, I'm sorry?
Let me just, yeah, okay. There we go.
Okay. So this is just a view looking out from the marina at the entrance to the harbor into the marina. So this is kind of where we go out. The Amel dock is right there at the entrance. So I'm at the top of the ramp, going down the ramp to the, and thank goodness it wasn't low tide. The boat on your left is a highly modified Amel 60. Showed up on the dock about a week ago. I'll show you the back of another Amel 60. This one has a sugar scoop stern, which is not standard, and it actually adds about 3 feet to it. It says Amel 60 on the side, but it's a bit longer. I don't know. It looks like it stopped on our end.
Yeah, I paused it for you there.
Okay.
Just
Okay, thanks. Oh, okay, I thought it was me. So, Karma, this is a standard Amel 60 with a fold-down swim platform, standard black davits. And then on the dock, there are 9 50s, 3 60s, and the rest are a bunch of Super Marimous 54s, Maramoose, and what was it, a Fango? Was that the small 30-footer?
Yep, Fango. Mm-hmm.
Couple of Santorins. It's all Amel all the time. These are the 50s that are on the dock. Here's a 54, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of nice to walk up and down this dock. This is coming back down the other side of the dock. More 50s and mostly 54s, some super Maramoos. And then this is walking down to the next dock, which is where they put our boat. We have a pretty ultra stainless steel anchor. We really probably would have liked a regular galvanized one, but it worked out.
That's not standard.
Yeah. An option, the electric furling is optional, and we got it on the Genoa, but not on the staysail. Our rationale was the staysail's a smaller sail, easier to handle. We wouldn't use it as much, and I didn't want to spend the money. The trademark Amel deck. It looks like a teak deck. It's not. Really nice doghouse. We kind of like that. It adds an entire room to the boat. Just got our dinghy this week. I'm sorry, what was that? So we put a dinghy on last week. The week before, we spent putting solar panels on. We had a custom mount made, and there's 1,170 watts of solar panels.
I think we come back to the solar.
Yeah. We also got a single sideband radio. Amel put the just an independent upright antenna on there. That's what that is. Also, these seats here you see there are on the stern are normally teak. We didn't want teak. The steps also on the back, so we had them change that to something we wouldn't have to maintain. Electric over hydraulic swim platform.
Oops.
Whoops.
Sorry, when I did motion stabilization on this, it trimmed it down so badly you can't see the solar mounts. That's what we were trying to show.
I spent a lot of time talking to a few other Amel 50 owners and got some drawings of the davits from Amel and did a long distance design on the mount. And it actually worked out pretty well. We had a local shop here make it. They did a great job. The lazarette, we could actually rent it out to a couple of families. It's quite large. Could almost stand up in it with the lid closed. It'll swallow a lot of stuff. Other people keep dive compressors in here. We did not opt for that.
Outboard.
The outboard motor also fits in there. We opted for dual voltages, 230, 50 hertz and 120, 60 hertz. And then this is the back sun deck. There are cushions that go there, but we didn't put them out there. On each side is a nice rope locker. Very handy to have. Another locker on the side for jerry cans, the water fill and the diesel filler on this side also. Also our water hose is in there. It's vented to the outside. Spent a lot of time on that. It's a plumb bow, so you can't really put an anchor there without putting a bowsprit on there, so they do that. This is a sail locker. It goes down about 2 meters. That's a code 0 in there. Oh, that's neat. Front windows, lots of latches.
What were you saying about the latches on those ones?
Yeah, well, there were only 2 on there when we got the boat, and they came one day and changed the entire hatch out because they said there was a potential for leak if somebody pushed on the window from the inside. So they added 2 more latches to it. So now we look like all the other 50s. We didn't when we first got here. We also opted for an optional spinnaker pole. They don't call it a spinnaker pole, they call it a Genoa pole. We actually don't have a spinnaker, we have a code 0 on a furler. Front window opens up on the doghouse, a couple of hatches up there.
So there's a sliding roof too.
And then the back of the roof slides open also, but we didn't demonstrate that.
Traveler.
Oh, the Traveler, the standard Traveler is way in the back of the boat. Amel is very proud of the fact that you could operate all the lines from the cockpit, and that really isn't the case. You'd have to walk to the back of the boat to trim the Traveler. And we actually use the Traveler quite a bit the way we sail. So we had them run the lines to the cockpit, and that's not standard. Although most of the boats we see go.
Matt, we're losing you. For some reason, we don't hear you.
Oh, I hear you fine. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. By the way, you also have your thumb on your, partially covering your camera.
Sorry. Oh, I thought you were looking at the video. Okay, where did you stop hearing me?
Just as you were talking about the advantage on the blocks.
Oh, okay, I didn't yet.
Oh, you did.
The advantage on the blocks comes standard at about a 3 or 4 to 1, depending on how you count it. We thought it was important for that to be easy to trim, and Cindy likes to sail. She wanted to be able to trim it also, so we changed it to, I guess you'd say it's a 6 to 1 now. So those blocks there used to be double blocks that my finger's on, and now they're triple. I went to Antal at the Annapolis Boat Show, found the representative, told him what I wanted, and he steered me to the right blocks. It worked out fine. So I had to change the ones on the Traveler car and on each end. So yeah, there's the Traveler lines that go to the cockpit.
Okay, and that's as far as we got.
It. Okay, so.
Engine room.
Oh, he didn't do the engine room. It didn't come out well.
Okay.
So let's change to, yeah. I'm going to go out and start from the cockpit. Whoop, was that coming in? Yes. So our cockpit, we asked for some red lights in the cockpit. They changed to white also, but they put cockpit lights in there. They're dimmable, and I have them dimmed down about as much as they'll dim down now. So you can see that there's a little bit of daylight left out there at this time. It's a nice red sky going down there. It's kind of neat. And if I aim up here at the lights, I can press a button and change it to white, change it to red. They're dimmable. And let's look at the let me back up a little bit. Try to get a view of the whole thing because we think it looks kind of cool at night. So it's, I guess it's the glass cockpit kind of motif, huh? So chart plotter, the main computer over here, autopilot, and then instruments over the companionway. They're all identical gauges and could be programmed to have any page on them. So Cindy set them up the way she likes since she's the navigator. I let her do whatever she wants. So that's the night display. Over here, of course, your motor control. Cindy likes more displays than they normally have, so we have a iPad holder that holds her iPad with her navigation software on it. Valve thruster controls over here, compass. This is the anchor chain control for the windlass and chain counter. And then all the winch controls here. And what else? I don't know if you could see that. Maybe I should make the lights a little brighter, huh?
Yeah, if you can crank the lights, that would help your camera out.
How's that?
Can you go to white?
I can. White. So table, they finally put a proper table in these things. It's in the middle here. It actually, when you open the engine room, and if you want me to, I'll open the engine room up if you don't think that's necessary. I'm not hearing any complaints.
Well, yeah, go ahead and just show that from the top.
Sure. Oh, I'm glad I did that. I left the light on. So, fuel tanks in the back here. It's, I believe it's 600 liters, something in that neighborhood. Genset, engine. I did add a second primary fuel filter. You see those two ray cores there. No, I'm not going to do that. And then the water maker.
Okay, I think you're covering your microphone.
And then there's a reverse cycle. Oh, sorry. I just don't know how to work an iPad. So there's also a couple of battery chargers, 60 amp. My thumb's on the camera. 60 amp and 100 amp battery chargers. There's a 230 volt to 24 volt inverter. Tilo wanted me to point out that the water maker panel is in the engine room. There is a manual control with no gauges on the at the nav station to turn it on and off. But if you want to tweak it, you have to come here. And any other questions on the engine room? We're going to go downstairs.
I think that's good. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So here is our abode. Again, I have the lights dimmed down. There's, if you give them more money, they give you a lot of this indirect lighting, and Cindy wanted that. It's in the floors, and it's up and around the ceiling. And then there are lights in the ceiling also,
Okay.
the standard lighting.
Matt, can you slow
Yeah.
down your panning?
I'm sorry. Making people car sick.
Yeah.
We also opted for, we asked for this and they did it for us, red lights or white lights in the galley and over the nav station. So these red lights here will, if I flip a switch, let me see if I can do this with one hand. If I flip a switch, where is it? Where did my lights go? Oh, wrong switch. They'll go to white or red, white, red. So that's that. So let's go back over here. I'll try not to.
Can you get more light on the subject? We're
Yes, we
getting
can.
fuzzy stuff here.
Okay, yeah, that I had to manually focus. Okay, is that better?
That's looking crisper.
Okay, I just had to autofocus. So the blue lights on the panels here, I can see them pretty nicely and clearly, but they wash out. Let me get close to one so you could see where they actually say things. They're much easier to read in real life than they are on the display here. So also, here's our navigation radio stereo, which isn't turned on, display. And then Cindy also has, we're running time zero with the Furuno instruments on our PC and also on our iPad. And the neat thing is everything communicates, and you could control everything from one device. You could even put it on a phone. I don't think you could control things on a phone, but you could control from an iPad. Also, we have a TV, and you can also you can it's going to lower that. The TV goes away. So, dining room table. Whoop, galley table. Whoops, sorry, I tripped. Don't do that for us because we have to move cushions. But the TV disappears behind the cabinet. Let me do a little focus here. Gone. And our galley is kind of set up to be at the marina. We normally don't have a toaster out when we're cruising. Uses too much current. We don't have an electric coffee maker out when we're cruising. We use a French press. Nice little drawer here. They're slow closing for dishes. Also, they give us a little trick here. This little rod comes out that Cindy's pulling out, goes into this other hole. And if she could thread it down, which there's probably something in the way in the drawer, it locks the drawers so they won't open in a seaway. We had since the wood is walnut, we had a walnut cutting board made that fits on the stove, so it gives us a little extra counter space. Really comes in handy. This is one of Cindy's favorite toys here. Dishwasher. Our old boat didn't have that. Fridge.
Matt, what was your previous boat?
It was a Moody 42. Also a center cockpit. We're kind of sold on those. 2 drawers. I think the standard configuration is a
Matt, can you pull your iPad back a bit more? Because it's when it's close up, we just see sort of the edge of stuff.
I apologize. How's that?
That's good. That's good. It's better.
Okay. So we also have hiding under this cushion is a deep freeze, typical Amel style. The deep freeze will double as a refrigerator if we needed it, but we like our ice cream. So what else? Let's go forward. Come over here. There's a crew cabin for people that don't behave. That's where I have to sleep if I don't behave. It's got bunk beds in it.
That salon table appears to telescope down and become a bed. Is that correct?
Yes, we have cushions that you can put on top of it. It lowers down with a motor, just like the TV did, and you can see the telescoping table base. Also, the table opens up. So these seats are normally bolted down, and this table will open up so people could sit there and partake. Whoops. Now, oh, let me point something, a minor technical thing out. Cindy wanted me to do this. The batteries are located centrally in the bilge of the boat. It's there's an exhaust fan that's constantly running while the battery chargers are going, and there's a water sensor in here also. So if it starts to flood, it will sound an alarm. And if you see a blue flashing light in the middle down there, that's the Victron wireless Bluetooth voltage and temperature sensor that feeds to the solar controllers.
What kind of batteries are those? Are those lithium or AGM?
No, they're gels.
Uh-huh.
They're neither. In here is a ice maker. We currently don't have it on. You run it for 2 or 3 hours, it makes enough ice for several days. What else? Let's go forward. Go in here. Forward head. Has a shower. And that's kind of it. Oh, let me open this back up. Garbage can, Amel puts that in. Towels, they gave us embroidered towels. Let's go.
Electric toilets.
Electric toilets. This is a guest cabin. We kind of like it. Really like the windows. It's kind of very dramatic to wake up in the morning and just take a look off to the side and see around. It's very, very nice in the daylight. Both of the beds lift up on hydraulic lifts, and I keep tools in here, and there's also cushions in here. There are a couple of hanging lockers in there also. Should we do the aft cabin? Anything else in here we need to look at?
I don't think
We're
so. You want to talk about the gray tank?
I'm not sure how other Amels are configured, but this Amel doesn't have any, has only a single drain to the outside for
Point to it.
every faucet and sink drain. And it's under this hatch here.
The foot of the stairs.
It's in a little tank there. And everything drains to there and then is pumped out of a single drain. Is that standard for Amel? I don't know.
No, I think usually the Amels drain into the engine room bilge.
Wow. So the sink, the showers, the sinks in the heads, the washing machine,
Dishwasher.
the dishwasher, everything drains into that sump, gray water sump. Let's go back.
There was a question asked about where's the access to the bow thruster?
That is in, if you remember when we were on deck and we opened up the sail locker on the bow, it's in there. And there's actually folding steps so you could climb down in there and work on the bow thruster. And there's a big cover that comes off there.
There's also a pin when you sail on passages.
Yeah.
To
That's standard Amel.
right.
Yeah. And you could access the pin easily. Okay, let's come back here. Oh, Okay, this is Cindy's room. Aft cabin. This bed also opens on lifts. And it has a unique thing. Come in and look at it. During the day, you can actually see in here. At night, of course, you can't. There's this little black hole. That's actually a window. So you could see the propeller if you're having any issues with a prop or you think something's wrapped around it, you could look at it. What else?
There's storage, there's port lights, more storage, storage under the floors for shoes.
Big hanging locker.
Big double hanging locker. It's hard to, in a small place, it's so hard to capture what it really looks like because you're only seeing like bits at a time.
Yeah.
There's another.
Matt, how tall are you?
Other open.
I think your signal is breaking up here. You've frozen on us.
Not all the way to the bottom yet. I can stand up, and now I'm at the bottom.
Okay, I'm still missing parts of what you're saying here.
At the bottom, and then the headroom in the galley. Oh, what did you?
Headroom.
Headroom?
Yeah, we didn't hear any of that.
Oh, the headroom actually is pretty good in the boat. It's not an issue. It's only an issue where when I stand up next to the bed that I can't stand up straight right next to my bed. But then there's 2 steps down. The first step down is not a problem. I could stand up. And then at the bottom, it's not an issue at all. And then there's about 8 feet of headroom in the galley. Oh, let me go in here. So the aft head, this is kind of difficult to do with it, but it houses the washer dryer. Another of Cindy's favorite toys. And the toilet's just behind this door here. It's the same toilet as the front one. And it's a nice size shower. It's actually, it's not a cramped thing at all. It's got a seat in it. Go to the left. There, good. And there's a port light that goes out into the cockpit. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, and Demetrius asked, when the washing machine is working, does it become hot and humid in the main cabin?
No, the washing machine is in the aft head, so it's way in the back, and it uses a condensator, so it's not an efficient thing because it uses water to condense the humidity coming out of the dryer. So no, it doesn't make the boat humid. Okay. Any other thing anybody wants to look at that I might have missed or they saw go by too quickly?
What kind of stove do you have there?
It's a Force 10 3-burner. It's got a broiler in it, electric ignition.
Okay, and your the refrigerator, is that the Frigo boat?
Yes, I believe it is. Yes, the freezer. It's Vitra Frigo.
Open.
Ah,
Is the propane locker still in the stern of the boat?
The propane locker is in the aft lazarette, yes. We actually, it's funny you mentioned that. We had a
Yeah, Matt, maybe if you move back to the salon, I think you're getting bad signal there.
Yeah.
Because we missed the last 20 seconds or so.
So you asked me a question about, what did you ask me a question about?
You were just talking about the propane locker.
Oh yeah, propane locker is in the aft lazarette. We had Amel make the opening larger than standard so we could fit bigger American propane bottles in there. They're not, it's not a propane locker right now, it's a butane locker. What else?
Yeah, and so, yeah, the questions were about, yeah, the motor size.
The motor is a Volvo Penta, I think it's a D3 110, so it's 110 horsepower.
Okay. Yeah, and Demetrius was asking about when you're in the at the helm station, can you open things up to get a sufficient amount of a good feel for the wind and wind direction?
Oh yes, not an issue at all.
The nav station or the helm?
The helm.
The helm, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cindy's being the cameraman.
This is great. And oh yeah, and you were telling me about the fact you had chosen not to get a heater installed, right?
We're wimps. We're warm weather sailors. We typically spend winters on the boat in places like in the Caribbean, and we've done that the past 6 years. And then for summers, we go home to, we have a horse farm in North Carolina, and we spend that hurricane season there. So we had no intention ever of sailing in cold weather. So we did not. So we didn't get a diesel heater. We do have a reverse cycle heating and cooling. So we while we're here, and it was in March when we got here, it was pretty chilly at night and during the day, and we ran the reverse cycle, I guess, air conditioner. And
yeah, no problem staying warm.
It controlled the boat very well. We have it's a chilled water system, so it sends chilled or heated water to blowers in either in the forward cabin, the aft cabin, or in the salon.
Hey, Matt, this is Bill. I wanted to ask you about that.
Sure.
The air conditioning system is a Klima chiller. Am I correct?
I believe you're right. Yeah.
Okay. In other words, it processes everything in the engine room.
Yes.
And sends chilled or warm water or fluid to units in the boat. How many air handler units are in the boat? Are there 3?
Yes, there are 3.
Okay. All right. How does that work for you for heat?
Very well. I think the coldest it got here was, let's see, do we work in Celsius? The coldest it got here was about 4 or 5 degrees Celsius.
Oh, okay. All right. So it kept the boat warm then.
Very comfortable, yes.
Yeah. You know, you don't know this, but the prior to the 55, and actually some early 55s, but prior to the 55, there was Klima compact units, and those had electric coil heat, which is not all that great.
No,
But I was wondering how the chiller worked for heat.
very well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it wasn't an
Mhm.
issue.
We're at the
Yeah.
dock.
And yeah, Demetra said that for him a diesel heater was necessary in Greece, but yeah, he usually, if it wasn't for the quarantine, he wouldn't be on the boat. Yeah, and Scott asked, "Is this your first Amel, and did you consider other brands when you were looking?"
It was the wrong question to ask. Yes, this is our first Amel. I never had an intention of buying one. We were bored one time. We were on a car trip, and I had seen one of the first articles. It was in either late 2017 or early 2018 on the Amel 50. And I read it, and I thought, oh, that's kind of neat, and I put it away. And Cindy and I are talking about boats, and stupid me, I pull this article out and I show it to her, and she reads it. And Cindy is the kind of person that loves to get into minutia. She read the article and then she dove in head first and dug up everything she could on the boat, fell in love with the concept, and then decided, we could afford this. And I kind of was very happy with the boat we had before. The people that bought it from us are very happy with it. They're in Isla Mujeres, Mexico right now. And we bought this. So yes, it's our first Amel.
Mhm.
I'm going to
And
tell
no,
you, Matt.
we didn't consider
it's
anything else. There was nothing else to consider. Nothing else was a consideration.
And the support of the ML people.
If you heard
Yeah.
Cindy just said,
Yep.
Yeah, I heard
Mhm.
Cindy.
The-
Matt,
the Amel
it's a
people
beautiful
are-
boat.
thank you. We like it so far.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's early,
it's
though.
really beautiful.
Jeremy was asking about, he saw that you've got an abundance of ceiling fans, and do you know how the current draw is with the ceiling fans compared with the AC?
We had these exact fans on our previous boat. I think they draw on high speed, they draw about 600 milliamps and maybe 2 or 250 on low speed. And we ran them pretty much continuously all night long on our previous boat. And when we would be sitting in the salon, we ran them. And I don't think you run them all at once at the same time because they're in every cabin. And you might not need the one in the galley when you're not in the galley. But of all the things we use energy for, and we were pretty much self-sufficient on our previous boat also, fans were not a power constraint to us. They weren't an issue. It was other things.
That's right.
Yeah. Fans and
And-
lights are not an issue anymore. Lights used to be until they came out with LEDs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and you've got about 1,100 watts of solar, right?
1170, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
Amazing.
how often do you find that you have to run the generator when you're cruising?
I'll let you know when we start cruising. We did one test because those panels have only been there for a couple of weeks, and when I installed them and had everything up and running and programmed the Victron controllers, we left the shore power off, or actually the battery chargers off overnight. So starting in the early evening, and we were down in the morning when we got up, we were down 85 amp hours.
Okay.
And Cindy was working on instruments that day and navigation and learning instruments and playing around with them. So they were on all day long the next day. And the batteries were fully charged, running everything we run that runs on 24 volts. They were fully charged by, I'm going to say 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was not a 100% sunny day. It was a sunny day, but partly cloudy.
Hmm. And speaking of those solar panels, what brand are you using? Those are 390s, right?
Yeah, they're sun powers. I restricted myself to a size, and they're approximately, well, they're exactly 1,041 millimeters by 1,690 millimeters. And I didn't want to go any bigger. I had a lot of constraints, dimensional constraints on not wanting the solar panels to go beyond the dinghy, which they do on the standard Amel configuration. And I wanted to be able to step under them, and that's why they're up as high as they are. And I wanted to be able to walk freely down the onto the swim platform. And it kind of drove the size, and it drove the location, and it actually drove the design. So they make bigger solar panels. You could get ones that are 1 meter by 2 meters, but in different brands that are about the same output. I think they come about 370 to 400 watts, but these are the smallest that put out that much power.
Mm-hmm. That sounds good. Yeah, and you were mentioning that you could have gotten ones in the same size with 10 more watts, right?
Yeah, they make a 400. Actually, I believe what they do is they sort. So they test them when they're done, and they bin them. And there are some that put out more and some that put out a little less, and they sell them differently. And it would have been maybe another 150 euros to get 400 watt panels, so I could boast for another 30 watts. Wasn't worth it to me.
Uh-huh. And Demetrius noticed that you got a high field dinghy. What size is that, and what engine do you have on it?
It's a 310. I think Amel pushes a 340, 3.4. No?
They
Well,
give you
offered-
the option of a 310
offered
or
it.
3.4.
Yeah, they offered a 340. We actually didn't use Amel to buy the dinghy. We bought it ourselves directly. And 310 was the size we had previously. We really liked it, so that we went with another one. And the motor is, okay, I'll tell you. It's not a strictly legal motor. It's a 2-stroke. We bought one in Trinidad about 6 years ago for our other boat, and we were cruising with it. It's a Yamaha Enduro 15. And the reason we like it, it's because it's easy. It's a world motor. It's actually built very sturdily for third world countries where there aren't a lot of places to get things fixed. They're easy to maintain. They're very efficient, and typically we never use the choke, and it starts on the first pull. So Cindy liked that, and it's light. It weighs, I think, 75 pounds.
We had it shipped from Guadeloupe.
Yeah. So we have a friend in Guadeloupe, which is a French island, by the way, who was able to buy them there. She bought one there and shipped it to Amel. So we've got it.
Okay.
Brand new.
And the engine configuration and the shaft configuration, this has a traditional shaft. Is that a dripless seal on that one?
Yes, it's a traditional shaft, and it has the PSS, is that it? PSS shaft seal? Yes, dripless shaft seal. And it is a conventional shaft.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Twin-
And Scott, go ahead.
Twin rudders. So the propeller just blows out. It makes backing up tricky. You really don't steer backwards with the rudders. You steer backwards with a bow thruster.
Uh-huh. Okay. And this one, do they offer a stern thruster on this?
I don't think so. I know the 60 has one available, but I don't think they offer one on this.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, Scott was asking, what are your cruising plans for the next 12 months?
Well, plans, what's the saying? Man plans and God laughs. Our plans were to cruise the Med for the next couple of 3 seasons, actually, couple of 3 years, and then go into the Caribbean and play in the Caribbean. But that's still our plan. We were going to leave in early June, and if we're lucky, maybe we'll leave in late June. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think so far we've gotten to all the questions. Anybody else have any questions for Matt?
Shine up there. Did you show them the?
Ellen says Iceland is accepting visitors.
Not us.
No diesel heat.
No diesel heater.
Okay, and
Matt?
Richie, just to let you know, Matt is in La Rochelle.
Matt, thank you so much. That was a beautiful boat.
Thank you.
I'm not as knowledgeable about the 50 as I should be, but what kind of keel? What is the keel configuration on that?
It's a bolted on keel. It's cast iron. It's a how would I say it? It's not a wing keel. It's got a wide base, but it's what's that called? Not a shield keel. It's
I think they
fairly
call it a
conventional.
modified wing keel.
Okay, not really a wing, but okay.
7-foot draft.
Yes, 7 foot 1 inch draft.
And your freshwater tankage, where is that located nowadays?
It's in the floor. So I showed you guys the batteries. It's right in front of the batteries under this next big panel, which also unscrews. I didn't open that, but there isn't much to see there. It's white fiberglass, and there are 3 opening ports in there if you need to get at it to clean things out.
So I'm judging by the pole there that I'm seeing to your left. It's a step keeled or a deck stepped
Deck
mast
step. Yes, it's a deck step mast.
and sloop rigged, correct?
Sure. It's we have a cutter option.
Can I ask Cindy a question?
Go ahead.
We noticed that the seat at the helm is in a fixed position, and I wondered if it was comfortable and you can reach perfectly well if you're sitting. And
we really want to know whether we put the footrest a bit higher. The seat goes up and down a bit, but the footrest is fixed. So we're trying to work out the geometry, leg lengths.
So are you tall or short?
short, that's why I asked Cindy.
Yeah.
Oh, the seat is height adjustable, has a little knob here, and it slides up and down.
And what about the footrest?
The footrest is fixed,
Yes.
but I'm 6'1", and I'm fairly comfortable at it.
Well, I'm 5'3".
Oh, well, let's put the seat down then. Or do you want the seat up high?
Can you see up the instrument?
Let's see Cindy in the seat. How tall is Cindy?
Well, I'm 5'8". I'm 7.5.
That's no good then.
Not a good thing.
We may need to get it shifted up a bit.
Whoop, can't do
I
that.
was thinking if I want to see that I want the seat high, but then maybe I want the footrest higher as well.
I can't imagine if you said you wanted the footrest higher that they would say no.
Yeah, it's just us. It's just working out how high to get it mounted. I think that's the so experiments with kitchen stools and false steering wheels.
We're not
You know
allowed
what you would have to do is you if you're interested, you need to visit the factory anyway. Everybody does.
We would
And,
love to, but
Yeah, I know at the moment.
I put the seat down,
She put the seat down,
and you can swivel it too.
swivels, much lower.
yeah,
But then if you're 5'3", could you see over the?
No.
no, you just have to stand.
They have this thing called the rack.
Might need I don't know,
Yeah,
be happy with that.
With what?
I said, the seat's way up, you got a great view, even if you're shorter.
But she needs a place to put her feet,
She might need to have a box, because this is not adjustable.
or they could mount that higher.
yeah.
Either that or you just steer with your feet.
Yeah.
One of the
Bare
things
feet.
when you're reversing and you're backing up, you're in this position here. You actually have to put your foot on the wheel because you leave the rudders in a steady position, and you have your hand on the throttle and a thumb on the bow thrusters. So you are forward and reverse with your hand, and your thumb is the bow thrusters, and you're steering in reverse with the bow thrusters.
That's what Kevin taught us.
Okay, that's good. So Matt, Cindy, any niggles? Anything you'd want to change that you didn't do during the build stage?
Of course, yeah.
Oh, good.
What was the question?
What would we have changed differently? First, let me warn you. In my working career, I was a mechanical engineer, so I could never be satisfied by anything anybody else does. We wanted different batteries.
You want me to take it?
Yeah. We wanted, actually, I don't know if you've heard of Firefly carbon foam batteries.
Heard of, yes, yeah.
We wanted those. We had them on our previous boat. We loved them. They would not do a thing with it. I'm not a fan of the dripless shaft seal they have on this boat. I am a fan of dripless shaft seals, but not that one. And I wanted a different one. They wouldn't put it on. So that was one thing. What else?
Can I speak to electronics?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have Furuno chart plotter and B&G. It's a central processor. It's a 5000. And I asked them why they did that, why they mixed it. And they really like the quality and the reliability of the central processor for the B&G. But they liked all the features of the Furuno chart plotter, you know, with the radar, the Furuno radar. You actually get fish finder, which is your sounder. That all comes pretty much standard. We did do an upgrade for ours. Instead of, there was a second B&G display here. It shows many different, many different instrument information at one time, a little hard to read. And we sail on autopilot for passages, so we want to see everything from back deep into the cockpit. So what we did across the companionway was get Furuno displays instead of B&G displays, and we got 4, so we could easily see a consistent speed over ground, the wind, your road map, and your depth in big displays from anywhere in the cockpit. So that was something different that we did. We also added the second chart plotter, which is not standard, down at the helm.
Nav station.
The nav station. So you see there's a second chart plotter. We have SSB, which you can't really see too well, but that's where our SSB radio is. Also in this cabinet, there's a PepWave router, which is Wi-Fi and cell. You can actually put a SIM card in there and pay for that service, and you can have your Wi-Fi through SIM card. What else is in there? So there's a bad boy antenna, and it's a kind of a secondary router.
It's a Wi-Fi amplifier.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a fusion radio, which you can control separately the sound. This is this radio here. You can control separately the sound in the salon, the cockpit and the aft cabin.
A question
And-
for you. Why is there a cleat in the next to the SSB in the locker?
You shouldn't ask that question. That's just a standard Amel thing.
Good question. Okay, so what ML did was, instead of having key locks on some of the lazarettes outside, so this is a rope that goes to the side locker, which is the diesel and the water. And in order to keep theft, you just pull this line and
Cleat it.
cleat it down,
And
and
it
nobody can
locks.
open up that side lazarette. There's also one for the forward sail locker.
Clever. Okay, and there was a question about if you have a forward-looking sonar on your. Do you have a forward-looking depth sounder, an Echo Pilot?
We do
No,
not.
you could get one, but that would be an extra option. We don't have it.
Okay, and then yeah, Alejandro asked, so why is the Amel installed shaft seal not satisfactory to you?
The brand I had on my previous boat, which I really like, is a Last Drop Gen 2. And to me, again, remember the mechanical engineering, the design is much better. It has an internal, what's it called? Cutlass bearing, so it keeps everything centered. And it has a much better way of applying pressure to the seal than the PSS. That's all I'll say publicly.
Thank you.
So we just saw Theo said hello. So we want to shout out a thank you to Theo because we followed in his footsteps. We've added several things because of Theo. Matt and Theo have done a lot of engineering designing together. One of such things was a snubber, a solution for a snubber, which I don't know if you guys covered, but
No.
so also Theo was a year ahead of us. So a lot of his stops, we're planning to make the same stops and copy him, and hope you can get back to your boat, Theo.
Yeah, let me say this: we've never met Theo, but we've designed engineering solutions to the boats long distance with pictures and videos and diagrams and a lot of back and forth emails.
You guys did an amazing job.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, somebody, Scott was asking, do you plan to sail with just the two of you, or will you have a larger crew for longer passages?
When we cross the Atlantic, we have a couple of volunteers that have signed up to go with us, but otherwise, our longest passage, just the two of us, has only been 9 days, and we covered about 1,300 miles. Otherwise, actually, we did another 1,200-mile passage in a week. That was fast. And other than that, we actually have not crossed an entire ocean yet. So that'll be coming up in a couple of years, maybe.
Well, good luck to you there. You've got the boat to do it.
Yeah, I think so.
Any more
Okay.
questions? Any more questions from anybody? I think we're probably going to wrap it up then. We ran a little bit over time. But God, Matt and Cindy, thank you so much. And Cindy, you have wonderful taste, except for one thing.
I've got her fooled.
Yeah, but he fixes everything.
No, I think the options that you bought were extremely logical, and the options that you passed were logical. For instance, the staysail, going to a manual staysail, it probably makes a lot of sense, and I think you saved yourself about 18,000 euro. Am I right?
Something like that.
I have no
Here,
clue.
how do you switch?
Yeah, I think it was. So Our next Zoom meeting is going to be June the 6th, and that's going to be on sales. It'll be the same time. There you are, Cindy. Matt's been hogging the camera. Now we can see you.
The star behind the camera.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, great. So thank you very much, Bill, for arranging all this. It was a delight for me to meet Matt and Cindy and to interact with them. And it's just been a great tour of the boat.
You were very patient, Tilo.
It's my pleasure.
Maybe we can get an Amel 60 tour, but I don't know anybody.
We know one of the owners on the dock we met. He's back. He's from Paris, and he's back in Paris now. If he comes out, I'll ask him.
Please do. Please do put him in touch with me, because I think there's a lot of people that'd like to see it.
Okay. Will do.
Okay. So thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate all of the effort and all the participation. It's been great seeing all this go smoothly, and we'll look forward to seeing you next month and at future events.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Okay. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Rudy.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.